Hello there. So, I have a couple of things I wanted to talk about, and a little bit of the things that's been in the recent news. You've almost certainly heard about most of them, but let's go ahead and hit them one by one. First up, This Is America. Holy shit. I mean, okay, Donald Glover, leave some talent for the rest of us, right? Okay, I mean, this is just fucking amazing. The entire thing, top to bottom. It is an incredibly deeply layered video. If you haven't seen it yet, you really ought to. It's truly phenomenal. Just a devastating take on just America. This is America. It's right there in the title. This is the sort of thing I think that you can write papers about if you're an expert on that sort of thing. It is just it is a masterpiece, I think. I mean, I'm not an expert in that sort of thing. I'm not an analyst, pop culture, dance, music, any of it, but wow. It is full of symbolism and imagery referring not only to recent history, but to deeper history, minstrelsy and things like that. It is a phenomenal work of art. What is not a phenomenal work of art is motherfucking Nicole Arbour's This Is Feminism, or feminist edit, whatever the fuck she calls it, who cares? Nicole Arbour, if you're not, up on your truly mediocre white women, she is someone who thinks of herself as a comedian, some sort of internet personality. She is not clever, insightful, or funny, as far as I can tell. A couple of years back, she raised some eyebrows with her Dear Fat People thing. She's made it a point to say that she's not a feminist. She is just someone with no real talent, no real skill or expertise, who does what she can to be famous, and largely fails. She went ahead and did, I'm not too sure what she was trying to do, what she thought perhaps that she was doing with This Is America. It's not really an homage, it's not a parody, it's just her and, I'm guessing, some people that she's paid. I think she's trying to, well, she's definitely trying to make, feminist points. She's trying to say things, and because she doesn't have, an ounce of the talent that Donald Glover has, she doesn't do it nearly as well. So it can be difficult. It is difficult to suss out what exactly she's trying to say half the time. And then, she's also not as good a dancer. She obviously didn't put nearly as much time or thought into it. She just said, "Hey, here's a thing. I can get some notoriety off of this," and that's what she did. It's utter garbage, and she's trying to be feminist without having thought about feminism, I guess. I mean, the hell with it. The hell with Nicole Arbour. She's just as awful and mediocre as she has proven herself to be in the past. And speaking of awful and mediocre, Donald Trump. I mean, of course, a day doesn't go by without Donald Trump being just a god-awful piece of shit. In this case, he referred to illegal immigrants as animals because, nothing says we're not edging toward a humanitarian crisis and potential genocide like referring to people that you want to lock up and separate from their children as animals. Because that's exactly what he did. His defenders, I guess, have spent the past few days trying to say, no, he was only talking about MS-13. Yeah, fuck that noise. He was talking about Hispanics generally. He never mentioned MS-13 before that in that particular speech. There was no reason to think he was restricting himself to talking about the people who have been radicalized and turned violent after they arrived in the United States, which is what MS-13 is. And, given his various comments over the years that he's been in the public eye regarding Latino and Latina, just Latinx people in general, why the fuck would we think he was talking about MS-13 this time? No. Now, Donald Trump is a racist asshole, and the people who voted for him are racist as well. Because, when you stand alongside Nazis and the KKK in order to cast your vote for the incredibly racist guy raised by a member of the KKK, you can't really say that you're not particularly racist. And now, on a lighter note, tonight, having recorded this, not the day I'm releasing it, but Saturday night, I saw Deadpool 2. and I enjoyed the shit out of that movie. I mean, of course, it is a fairly juvenile film. It's not great art, but it was very, very well done. Very, very funny. They kind of skated over the tragic backstory and things like that. I'm kind of hoping what they showed in the second post-credit sequence actually was kind of true, at least part of it. And I really did like the repeated jabs they made at the utter garbage that was Marvel in the 1990s. They brought in Shatterstar, and then they treated him as that character deserved to be treated. And then they took a shot directly at Rob Liefeld. And then, there's a story there. There's not too much to it. You don't go to see a Deadpool movie for a deep and meaningful story. I mean, it was a fairly typical story. They hit the points where they needed to be hit, and hit the beats, I mean to say. They did everything they were supposed to do there while having Ryan Reynolds make amusing commentary. It's well worth going to see. I don't know that you need to see it in theaters, but it is a fairly amusing movie all around. Very, very, not even fairly, but very amusing. It's a funny as hell movie. Well worth seeing. And I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed the random animation going on the screen for those of you who bother to pay attention to that sort of thing. As just a reminder, I have a podcast out there. I am part of a podcast, I should say, Dungeons and Debacles, in which I and some friends are trying to destroy the universe. And I am currently in the midst of another project, working on getting another podcast out there, another role-playing podcast, but this time in the Mass Effect world. Hopefully we can get that off the ground and get it running soon enough. In the meantime, please do that thing, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you later. Cat, one of these days, you're going to have to learn how to use that fucking cat web.